Hi, it's March 15 and we're in the middle of, the start of autumn, and the garden is a little bit messy at the moment because my ride-on has broken down, so the grass is a bit overgrown. But let's have a look at how things are going in the Fruity Fortress. Okay, the apple trees are growing into the shape that I pruned them. I gave them a summer prune this year so they could grow outwards rather than directly up, and slowly they're actually hollowing up in the center, which is really good, and they're still quite vigorous. We've been having some warm days this year, especially in March, and they seem to be putting on extra growth, which is really good after the summer prune. They looked a little bit worse for wear, and now they're taking their shape quite nicely. All the grafts are have taken, and as you can see, the growth is growing really well, and hopefully next year there'll be a few more apples on these, so we can actually see what type of variety each one provides. Over here I have some mulberries that I planted along the cyclone wiring. This is the south side of the Fruity Fortress, so we don't get a lot of sun from this side, but so what I thought was by planting some dwarf black mulberries, I could exfoliate them up along the cyclone fencing wire, and sort of green it up a little bit this side, and of course also prevents the birds from entering, which would be really nice. Down the back here, this lemon tree over here went completely yellow, and so I gave it some trace elements and some sea salt and things like that, and it's slowly coming back to its original colour, but maybe a little bit more to go. Over here, the plum tree didn't do too well this year. I mean, it's probably doubled in size, but as plums go, you'd think that it'd be quite vigorous looking, but it's a little bit stunted for some reason. That's a black plum, that one. Over where the espaliate apples are, I gave them a summer prune again, and as you can see, the pruning has done wonders for it. So all the fruiting spurs have swollen up and ready for next year's produce. So there's a few that have actually grown some water spouts or water shoots, but overall not too bad. There we go, like these ones here. But they seem to be doing really well. I'm actually hoping that they'll actually root into the ground now. So they started off in these black pots, and I believe that through the constant watering I did this year and softening the ground underneath, that the roots may have now penetrated into the actual earth, and that would really help them a long way, I think. It was a funny year this year, no codling moth, which is great. No fruit fly, anything like that I keep hearing others have. And the apples were really quite tasty this year. So these ones were apple Granny Smith and Pink Lady. These are Three Musketeers over here. The figs did well this year, even though I moved them last spring to this location. We got probably about a dozen figs, and there's still probably another dozen or two ripening up as we speak. So they've done really well. The apricots were really good this year. They were probably only a foot high when I planted them, and this one actually broke in the wind as it was growing. But I've probably pruned these about 3 times this year in their initial year, and they're probably about nearly 7 foot tall now, and the centres are all opened up really nicely, which is what I wanted to do when I pruned them. And here's the other one. So 2 varieties there. Okay, Snowball. Over here I've put in a persimmon that I bought. It was a funny one, this one. This one dropped all its leaves and then decided to put on some new growth. And as you can see, all this top part is all new growth, and I'm hoping that next year the bottom parts will also put some new growth and fill it up a little bit. This apricot is in its 2nd year in the ground, and once again I pruned it about 3 times already, just to open up the center and to make it spread, and it's just done that. It's just loved its position, and although I think it's a little bit too high for me to reach, but for now I'll let it grow and see what happens next year. This olive tree was nearly dead when I replanted it from the front, and most of the summer it was just pretty dormant, not doing much. And in the last 2 weeks it sort of decided that now's the time to put on new growth, and it's put a lot of new growth on in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks. This one was planted at the same time, a bit more established. This one didn't sulk at all. And as you can see, the difference in sizes, but it's doing really well. Over here, the pear trees. This one here, let's talk about this one. Pears like to sort of grow directly upwards. Again, I've tried really hard to open up the center, so this has been pruned a couple of times just to try to spread it. I may still cut this branch here, and maybe even this one here, to encourage it to spread outwards rather than directly up. We had a good year with pomegranates this year. As you can see, this one tree here just loved it, and has produced probably about a dozen or so pomegranates, and hopefully the summer and autumn weather keeps going the way it is, and they'll ripen up. This almond tree was growing directly upwards, so I gave it a prune as well, and I tried to shape it, but it's not really doing too well in terms of the shaping, but it's put on a lot of vigorous growth, so I may just let it bush up and just basically bush up and grow, and see the shape that it takes next year. Now entering the Fruit Fortress. I did a summer pruning here as well about 4 weeks ago, and after the summer prune they looked a little bit worse for wear, but in the last 4 weeks, once again, they put on some really good growth. And but the only problem is, because I haven't taken the roof off yet, the leaves are lacking some either sunlight or some deficiency, especially the peach trees. I'm not too sure, but as you can see, the leaves are quite yellow and veiny, so I'm thinking it's some sort of trace element that they're missing. But I do feed them, but something's happening there. Another persimmon. This one I had to spread out with a bamboo stick just to open it up a bit in the center. It was also going directly up, and it seems to settle down pretty well. They're pretty temperamental, these persimmons. Going to the back here, another peach, nectarine, same sort of thing. The new growth after the summer prune produced a lot of new growth, but the leaves are slightly yellow, Again, I'm not too sure why. The cotton candy apricot plum, it decided to put on some growth, but not as vigorous as the others. This plumcot, which is more of a plum than an apricot, seems to like its location, and it's again put a lot of summer growth after the summer prune, and is shaped quite nicely. I put an apple here not long ago it was one of the ones outside in the garden. I just figured that I needed another variety of fruit tree in here, one that the parrots don't attack, so at least we'll have some apples in here that are protected. Another plumcot for cotton candy. This one's done a little bit better. Peach. I also have two banana plants which I haven't decided where to plant yet, but they seem to be growing pretty well in here. And this one I had to replant about a week or two ago, and it drooped a little bit, so I cut it back down, and it's got a new growth in the middle there, so that seems to be coming back nicely. The strawberries are flowing, not producing at this stage. I've got a lot of runners that I have to cut off and replant around the property just to bring up the stocks a little bit more. These are the three nectarines and peaches that I pulled out for the apple tree and the persimmon. Yep, they like their pots. They're growing really well. They'll probably end up going outside into the garden somewhere for next year. Here I have a Japanese mandarin, and like everything else in this shed, probably not a lot of sunlight, maybe needs a little bit more, and the leaves are a little bit yellow. Yeah. Now I finally completely enclosed the fortress, although like I said, the cyclone fencing still allows the sparrows and the blackbirds to come in, which is not good. This is why I covered all these with some wiring. So eventually I will be putting up, what I'm thinking of doing is putting up a insect netting, especially for the fruit fly if it does come up this way, and other things like that. And that will sort of kill two birds with one stone, keep the birds out better, and also keep out fruit fly and things like that. All the marigolds have completely finished. I pulled them out. I'm letting the seeds dry now, and I've collected probably about 3 or 4 kilos of seeds from all of these marigolds that I planted this year. And as you can see, the ones that have dropped down are starting to grow as well. I don't know how long they'll last before they die off, but yeah, we have plenty of seed for next year. The Emperor Mandarin seems to still be curling its leaves a little bit, so I'm not too sure whether it's still a little bit too dry in these pots. I do water them, but yeah, maybe the drainage is just too well, and it doesn't sort of keep the water as it should. The calamansi is doing really well. It's got a lot of flowers and a lot of fruit, and yeah, it's doing really well here, so I'm pretty happy with that. I have quite a few olive trees. I'm not too sure what this one is. It didn't give any fruit this year, so I'm sort of going in blind and allowing it to grow to see what it ends up producing. But I've got a sneaky feeling that the leaf looks a bit like the Kalamata leaf rather than the bigger leaves of the manzanellos and things like that. The feijoas are doing really well. We've got probably on all of these trees hundreds and hundreds of feijoas, so we're going to have a bumper crop this year. I kept the water up to them. and I think that helped quite a bit. As you can see, they're not overly big at the moment, but there is an abundance of feijoas just even on this one tree over here. So yeah, I think keeping the water up to them over this summer break has really helped immensely in keeping them hydrated. And as you can see, these ones are a different variety, slightly bigger, and like I said, quite a number of them. The date palms are growing quite nicely. I did water these front ones quite a bit this year, but as you can see, one's over there near the fence down the back there, closer. They're not as big because I just can't reach the hose down that way, and you can see the difference in size compared to the ones that I can reach water to and the ones that I can't. Another olive tree. This one I believe is a large table olive, but again I'm not too sure which variety. So there is one olive on it somewhere that I spotted, but it may have dropped. I'm not too sure now, but not a bad looking tree. And the ones that are going along the front of the house here, there's some really nice olives on these ones too. I won't let them grow too large. They're pretty close to the house, so I'll probably top pure them a little bit, and yeah, we'll get enough olives on these 5 or 6 olive trees, even if they're quite small. The nursery that I have, this is facing north, I think the north side of the house, so it gets all day sun pretty much, and as you can see, we're getting all day sun. This this lemon tree is, you know, the perfect colour in leaf. The one next to it is from seed actually, and again it's growing really well. I'm not too sure what it'll end up being, but I'm allowing it to grow and see what happens. This fig tree stayed dormant until probably about mid-January, close to February. It was just dormant, didn't do anything, and in the last month, probably 4 or 5 weeks, it's just come back to life and putting on some really good growth. A few more seedlings down the bottom here. Again, I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but they seem to be growing really well. This one's an orange tree that I brought back to life. A couple of leaf cuttings here that I transplanted, and they don't like it, but I think they'll survive. The Ephora mandarine was purchased one not long ago. A couple of more seedlings here. This one is also a Japanese mandarin that was in the shed, or in the fortress over there, but it wasn't greening up, and I thought I need to bring it out into the sun, so it's starting to green up a little bit more now, but it's still got a little bit of leaf curl. I'm not too sure why. Another Ephora over here in the tanks. I'm just keeping them here at the moment because they get a lot of sun, and I can also water them each morning before I go to work. The gate is another orange tree. This one I bought last year, about 12 months ago. It was quite yellow, quite spindly looking, and in the last, I suppose 12 months you can call it now, it's really taken to its spot. It hasn't put on a lot of growth, but it's looking pretty healthy. The one on this side is another lemon tree, although it's got a round ball lemon down the bottom there. I'm not too sure why. This one had a lot of marigolds and cucumbers and other things, and sunflowers going around it. I think that set it back a little bit, but again it's coming back to life and putting on some new growth here. Although I'm still getting a bit of this leaf curl. I still don't know why, because the ground is quite moist, as you can see, so I don't think it's lack of moisture. Here near the house, back steps, we've got another lemon tree. This one is sort of partially in the shade, as you can see. It's underneath the eaves there, but it seems to get the north sun from that direction, And this also had a lot of sunflower and marigolds and so forth around it, and was a little bit stunted, but in the last couple of weeks when I pulled them all out, you can see all the new growth taking place. So it's a vibrant colour. It looks like it's pretty healthy, and should do well. This is another one near the back steps. This one had lots and lots of lemons on it, and I was a bit worried that it would stunt its growth. I kept the lemons on, I didn't take them off. It dropped what it needed to drop, and as you can see right now, it's putting on a lot of new growth and keeping its lemons at the same time. Over here I've got a Lisbon, well, I think it's a Eureka lemon, I'm not too sure. And it was in the ground about 2 or 3 years ago, and ended up getting collar rot. It was just a very wet year that year, and I was just about to toss it out, and I thought, well, I'll pull it out and toss it out, and then I thought, look, I'll put it in this old recycling bin and just see what happens. And what's happened is that all the areas that were infected have now been basically cleaned off. And luckily the tree kept its bark on one side, and the sap flow is still going through, and now the tree is sort of recovered, and the bark is starting to grow back around the deadwood on this side. I mean, it won't completely cover it, I know that, but it's not receding anymore. It's actually healing up really well, and as you can see, the tree itself has got abundant of lemons. The foliage looks pretty cool, and it seems to have survived, which is really, really good for this one, because this one I've had probably the last 5 years, and it was sad to see that it might have ended up in the compost. This is an example of one of my date palms that I've got around the property. This is probably one of the bigger ones, although I planted at the same time. This gets a little bit more water runoff from the concrete on the other side there, so I guess the water has allowed it to burst into growth, and it's starting to look really, really nice. So we've got about 20 of these on the property, I think it is, overall, and yeah, it's one of my favourite plants. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll try to get a few more out there a lot quicker this time. Take care.